1 second. We're getting onto YouTube to go live.
Okay, go ahead. You should be muted. Mute your device there. Why is it not?
Clerk Weaver, can I ask you to call roll? Okay. Councilmember Daughtry.
Present.
Councilmember Peter Shagan.
Present.
Councilmember Donahue.
Present.
Councilmember Dickinson.
Present.
Council President Jorstad.
Present.
Councilmember Ewing.
Present.
Councilmember Tadjin.
Present.
Thank you. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda as
Second.
I hear a first and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We have an agenda. Next on our agenda is guest business. I will turn it over to Troy Stevens, our IT director.
All right, you guys hear me? Okay, good evening, council and citizens. I'm here with great pleasure to be able to introduce Nick Poulos. He is joining our IT department here. He, as he's our new system engineer. Nick started with the city in November, but he's working remote. He currently was living in Homer, Alaska. He's now currently on site officially January 2nd, and he's working right now on trying to get his family moved down here. So they're kind of in the process of searching out real estate and getting things lined up and getting his home transferred over here. Nick comes to us with over 25 years in IT in various capacity. He started off in higher ed with Ohio State, where he got to build the entire infrastructure, working throughout different job classes as he's moved his way up. His last tenure was since 2011 in Homer, Alaska, as an IT manager, where he kind of served like me, managing a small city, sort of building out all their infrastructure. He's basically helped build their new police department, kind of like what we did here. And on top of that, they basically have a whole dispatch center where we kind of have a shared service. So he's got a great asset to us, huge knowledge set. So we're excited to have him on here. His personal interest, he's very much about outdoors. He grew up in Northwest Ohio. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. I got the time. So Nick, so he's currently has his wife and his daughter and are currently at home, but he's working and living here. So he's an avid hiker. He likes climbing. He likes skiing. All about the outdoors. So he's really excited about coming here to this area. So he want to get real close to the mountains. That's where his passion's at. And so, and his daughter is, he's been in these small communities, so he's going to be able to expose her to some of the arts and the scene in a bigger community, have more access to resources. So he's very excited about being here in Lake Stevens and enjoying this. So with that, I would like get him to just kind of come by and just. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much. The next item on our agenda is citizen comments. So if you are here in person and you wish to have 3 minutes to make a citizen comments, there's some green sheets in the back. If you could fill one out and hand that to our deputy clerk, then we'll know that you want to speak. If you're online, you can raise your digital hand and Caitlin will bring you forth to allow you to speak. Everyone has 3 minutes. And I guess we'll start first with anyone that is here via Zoom. Do we have anyone interested in citizen comments?
If anyone in the audience, the digital audience would like to raise their hand to make a comment, please do so and I'll bring you in. I don't see anyone.
Great. Thank you so much. We do have one. I have one green sheet with me. Any others? Great. So I'll ask Magda Hutt to come to the podium. Magda, if you could please state your name and address, and then you'll have 3 seconds. You'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So my name is Magda Hopt and I live with my husband on Stitch Road and own a business in Everett. And we have a short-term rental, about 400 square feet across the lake from our home, which we can see from our home. The previous owner's brother lived there. Then we bought it and improved it for our future recreational use for a time when we sell our large empty nester home and move into a condo or trap. The place is not ideal for long-term renting, and therefore the short-term funds cover our expenses. The property has 4 parking spaces, though we only allow 2 cars maximum. There are no neighboring houses. Our neighbors are on top of the hill and keep an eye out for us, though we have cameras and the guests are aware of it. They also use the parking when there's ice on their driveway, their steep driveway. We have extensive rules posted on Airbnb and in a binder at the property. We require the guests to read the rules and sign a form that they read as we meet them at the property to give them a tour, reviewing the rules and getting acquainted with it. We've received excellent reviews from our guests as well as reviewing them. Almost 100% of them were 5-star guests. We pride ourselves in having a first-class place. We do not allow parties and are very strict about our guests having family or friends visiting, allowing only a couple people for a couple of hours. Since most people are visiting their family, friends, or events, sometimes they're rarely there. I hope that the requirements will allow for short rentals for owners that live near their property and closely monitor the guests. However, there are only a few known hosts on the list of Airbnb properties in Lake Stevens. We hope that owners will continue to be encouraged to list with Airbnb as they have excellent regulations for both guests and hosts. And as I've pointed out in the past, short-term renting is way more ideal than long-term renting, as we are not stuck with bad renters as owners. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hopp. All right, that brings us to the close of citizen comments. Next item on the agenda is council business, and I will start here on my right with Councilman Duffy.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, we had a youth advisory council that I went to the other night. I'd like to mention that we have 3 of the youth advisory council here in the room with us. Thank you for showing up. It's great. Last night we had the short-term rentals committee, and then also followed closely behind by the Veterans Commission meeting. Both of them were quite entertaining and lots of good information. Veterans Commission has trying to come up with what our work plan is for this year. And we had a lot of good discussion about that. So that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Peterson.
Yeah, just quickly, last Wednesday attended the museum board of directors meeting. They're kind of doing their planning for the year and the events that they're going to be undertaking. So we'll be hearing more about that. Hopefully we can have them do a little short presentation at our retreat to give us an update. And then also this last weekend attended Consumer Electronics Show, and we can talk more about that at our retreat as far as technology and such. Troy was there as well, and a lot of fascinating things. So probably too much information for a couple minutes. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilman Donahue.
Nothing to report from me.
Thanks. Councilwoman Dickinson.
Went to the senior center board meeting on Monday. 40 people came to the Christmas dinner, which was outstanding. particularly with festive decorations by kids, which was just such fun to see the young people and the seniors coming together for that. Mary's Place for the Arts would like to use the center twice a week to host art classes for the children of Lake Stevens. And I think that's another good use of that building. So hopefully that will come to pass. What a wonderful combination. Also, a committee writes cards to the seniors who are homebound for various reasons, just to let them know they're not forgotten. I will provide stamped postcards from the Lake Stevens Museum for these cards. Another wonderful combination. Let's work together to make this community work. Sorry, that was on my stomping ground there. Next bus trip will be on February 20th to the Museum of History and Industry in Northern Seattle. I went to the short-term rental meeting with Councilman Daughtry. It was great. And the Citizens and Planning Commission working on the issues has been more than encouraging. I'm sure Councilmember Daughtry will catch you up, and he just did. So at our Friends of Lake Stevens Library meeting, it was announced that Snow Owl Libraries have several outreach programs. They will have an Earth Day in March, plus there will be a 6-week reading program for families at Stevens Creek Elementary. The families will meet, share dinner together, and hold a lively reading discussion with the help of professional scholars and storytellers. This program will begin in March. I just think it's great to see all of us working together to make this community shine. I'm done.
Thank you. Councilman Newman.
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Councilman Tagent.
I attended Sam Lowe, Representative Lowe, down in Olympia, seeing him getting sworn in with him and his family. He's excited to host us when we come down to Association of Washington Cities. It was a great day for him and his family.
Yeah.
So it was really neat to see him get sworn in. He's pretty excited and he's ready to rumble, I guess.
That's great.
Yeah, that's it for me.
I just want to bring to the attention of the council and the community. We've been notified or asked by a community member to join with them and the Parks Department to bring the first Pride Festival to Lake Stevens. And so there is a save the date out for June 24th from noon to 4 at Lundin Park. More information to come. This is a great endeavor by our community and in conjunction with our Parks Department. So looking forward to it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is mayor's business. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the meeting, the mayor's not here this evening, so we're gonna skip right by mayor's business for this evening. City department reports are our next agenda item. I don't believe we have any this evening. Just want to make sure. Don't see any hands raised. All right. That brings us to the consent agenda. You'll see a consent agenda in your packet. Would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Consent agenda passes. Moving on to action items. I will turn the microphone over to Aaron Halverson to discuss the enterprise agreement to sell customer vehicles and consignment auction agreement.
Okay, thank you, Council President Jorstad. Good evening, Council. I'm here tonight to discuss the 2 enterprise agreements for sale of customer vehicles and consignment auction. These 2 agreements target fleet vehicles owned by the city. And so currently, to sell a fleet vehicle, the city has to clean the vehicle, deliver it to an auction house. It is then auctioned locally. And the auction house collects a 3% premium on that cost or that price, and the city receives the remainder. It can take several hours to work through each vehicle, and so we're paying an hourly rate for that. And our auction value is inconsistent. It's just based on who's at the auction. So these 2 agreements would enable the city to work with enterprise fleet to sell vehicles at consignment, or even better, sell vehicles on a more open market and receive a better price. Now enterprise does charge a $450 premium to do this work, but they clean the vehicles, they collect the vehicle from the city, and they take care of all of the administrative work. I expect the return on vehicles sold through enterprise to be higher than the current value we receive at auction. And so I'm open to taking questions, but I ask you to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the consignment auction agreement and agreement to sell customer vehicles with enterprise fleet management.
Aaron, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What other cities are using enterprise fleet to do this? Are there other cities that enterprise has brought to you that are doing this?
Yes, yeah, this is a common practice. So we have at the end of the year, the city executed a contract with enterprise fleet to procure vehicles with them. And so the other half of that is to sell them at consignment. And so the city of Sultan has an agreement with them, as does the city of Marysville locally.
Is there a return on investment that they say, hey, most of the time they're getting 75%, 80%, some kind of number? Is there a consistent number? You said there's more consistency. What would that consistency look like?
I don't have that. I don't have that right now. I'll say this, the market has been kind of volatile for vehicles, but I can certainly gather that data and put it in a future department report.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious as to what you just said. There's more predictability, and I like the idea of that very much and I'm for it, but I was just curious what they say it is. Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Director Halverson. Do we keep any data right now on what we receive for vehicles that we take to auction?
We do.
So is it reasonable to request that throughout 2023, we keep data on if we are to pass this, what type of return we're able to get, so that we have a comparison at the end of the year between the two ways of doing this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Great.
So-
Thank you.
I think most of the vehicles we've had were so old in our fleet. When we sell them, we get very little because we had some real oldies out there.
There's still a little profit we get there. So it'd be good to know what that is.
It was whoever drew the unlucky key got
Well,
that
that's
car.
true.
Can I add one more thing?
Please.
There is a little bit of control. The council has delegated a lot of the authority for surplus in the procurement policy, but anything above $15,000 has to come to you before we can sell it, before we can surplus it, just so you know. So if they do have a little more value, we'll come and brief you on it before we do that.
Thank you. Any further questions for city staff?
Director Halverson, I actually had one. I just wanted to confirm my understanding of the agreement. As I understand it, it's a non-exclusive agreement. So is it correct that we're not obligated to use enterprise in disposing of these vehicles?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe. Any further questions or a motion?
Move to authorize the mayor to sign a consignment auction agreement and agreement to sell customer vehicles with enterprise fleet management.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. We will move into discussion items. The first discussion item on our agenda is a joint meeting with the Parks Board. Welcome. I'd like to turn this over to Sarah. Yes, please come forward to the table.
Give us a minute while we
Find
set
your
everyone
name.
up.
You can always pull the mic off too.
And Jill was able to make it
Yeah.
tonight, so I'm going to have her lead the discussion for the Parks Board.
Excellent, Jill. Thank you.
Good evening, council. It's good to see you and audience. I'm Jill Meese. I'm the Parks Planning and Development Coordinator here at Lake Stevens. And I thought that I would have the park board members, and I know they have their plaques there, but they could introduce themselves to the city council. We'll start with, at the end, Tina Decker.
Hey, I'm Tina Decker, and I'm the president of the board.
Roger Schomer, Vice Chair. Brian Hyder.
Susan Green. Dawn Lyons.
And we have a 9-member board. We have a couple that couldn't make it tonight. I did want to mention of two of our members, we have Carl Johnson and Marlene Sweet. They're both unable to come tonight, but Carl is over 30 years. He's served on the park board, and Marlene is at least 25 years. So we wanted to acknowledge that tonight. The park board did have an exciting year in 2022, and a few of the accomplishments to highlight for you this evening is the group held open houses for the Sunset Beach redevelopment and the Frontier Heights design to gather that community input. Park Board also adopted the first plaque and memorial policy that provides a framework for placing memorials and plaques in our parks places. They gave feedback on the annual recreation and event request for proposal. They reviewed the annual updates for the parks chapter of the comprehensive plan. And they also review the Eagle Scout projects, including the flag memorial box that we have here at North Cove Park. So the proposed work plan that's included in your packet tonight has some carryover items as well as some new initiatives for the upcoming year. Of note, those initiatives, some of the bigger ones are going to be to oversee the development of the Eagle Ridge Park design and name proposals for the 20th Street ball fields that will eventually come to City Council for your approval. And working on the Cedarwood redevelopment. So I know that you have a copy of their work plan in your packet tonight. And if you have any discussion with the park board or any questions on that, we're happy to answer those. And also, I guess I should add too, to give an opportunity for the park board to ask the council any questions or to have any discussions.
Would you guys like to share with Sunset Park with us? There were some items in there that we were looking at redeveloping. There were some issues with safety in there and some other stuff.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the beginning of your question.
Oh, Sunset.
Uh-huh.
We were looking at the design and so forth, and there were some safety issues that were going on there. And maybe you could just go through some of that.
Yes, absolutely. So some of the safety concerns we had primarily were how you enter and exit a parking lot. There was some site visibility issues, and our consultants, when they drafted that plan and park board held their open houses, they talked about that, how they were going to rectify that. So there will be improvements done to the parking lot to help with the sightline visibility, as well as we had a structural analysis done at the dock and found items that need to be replaced and throughout the site. So with the redevelopment, we believe that the plan will improve accessibility at the site, as well as safety concerns and the overall aesthetic.
So I made a what we did last year report.
Great.
Do you want me to give it?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, all right. So it was a very busy year for the park board, and that means it was even a busier year for the staff. And on behalf of the board, I want to acknowledge the staff for how hard they work all the time. And we couldn't do our job, they didn't do theirs. And so for North Cove, we a grant was awarded for the Recreation Conservation Office for the installation of a guest use moorage. And we worked with the Arts and Park Foundation to make art for the sitting wall that's by the splash pad. And we're going to sell fish. I said we because I'm on the foundation. Fish plaques that are going to go on the back side of the wall. And that is to our fundraiser. And you can go onto the website, the foundation website, and purchase your $100, $200, $300 I have to pitch. So the game area on the concrete pad for adolescent park users, there were some issues with middle schoolers coming to North Cove after school and having maybe not having a lot to do, but they wanted to gather at the park. So we needed to give them something to do. And so we came up with a ping pong ball and chess checker area and some skateboard stuff. And so that they have something to do, but with that, we put a sign up with at the kids playground to say, this is the target age for the kids, so that hopefully they don't go in and play as much as they were on that, so that the little kids can play. And let's see, there's a new flag drop box that an Eagle Scout put together and designed, and it's over by the memorial, and it's a really cool box. If you haven't seen it, you should go look at it. We hosted lots of events and festivals at the park at North Cove. There was the Polar Plunge, which was for Special Olympics. The Lake Stevens Community Band performed many times during the farmers market, and they performed during the Winter Fest. And Lions Club had a fishing derby, and there was a health and wellness fair. So of course the North Cove hosted the Aqua Fest, the Harvest Fest, the Winter Fest. So North Cove is a really busy place, which is exactly what we wanted. And you heard about Sunset Park, Frontier Heights. We needed to mitigate the drainage issue. There was some stuff that was going on. And I know you guys know a lot of this because you're council, and a lot of it's come before you. But I know there is a new council member, so I want to confirm that we're keeping.
Thank you.
Multi-use synthetic court, and then a pickleball area. And that's not going to be the only thing in our plan. We have a viewing labyrinth and exercise stations and a sensory garden and a cornhole and picnic benches. So there's a lot in the plan that, we would be so grateful to continue funding that so that we can continue to build that amazing park. Eagle Ridge, as we heard, we're going to be reviewing it again. We're going to look for hiking and a bike track. Not bike track, bike trails. See if we can come up with something to do in addition to all the other things that are at Eagle Ridge. The Cedarwood Community Center, we did a structural analysis to see if we can put a second floor in, and I don't know the results of that yet. For the Trail Master Plan, the city's working on getting the easements under the corridor by the 20th ball field, which that leads me to the 20th ball field. We don't have a name yet for it, and that's on our work plan to come up with something other than the 20th Street ball field. And let's see, Centennial Park. We had the critical area evaluation for the feasibility of a placement of a pump track, and it came back saying that only 10% of the area is usable. So the city is looking at alternative and avenues, like maybe getting a long-term easement from utility or purchase some land. And for Davies, there was underwater cleanup and the old floating dock removed. And at Lunding there wasn't much happening. We didn't have anything to do at Lunding this year. And we had some events, as we mentioned, and we had movies in the park, theater in the park, we had a film festival. The Lake Stevens Chamber of Commerce organized the 4th of July celebration. And we did, as Jill said, some administrative stuff. And but most importantly, we stood up personally. That was the best thing ever, to get in Parks Director, because that tells me that the council is invested in Parks and Recreation. And that tells me that you want to grow this program and that you do want to put money towards it, which if you continue to do for us, and then we continue to figure out how can we best utilize that money. But like I said, it's the city that does all the work. We just talk about it. So, you know, I definitely want to thank the city staff for all their work. And I want to again welcome Sarah aboard. Such fantastic government. And that's all I have. If you have any questions or comments?
Hopefully with the new grant writer that we're bringing on board, we'll be able to get a lot of grants for parks. So that's an area that we're all hoping for, the grant writer to queue in and we can keep doing great things in our parks.
Does the board members have anything else they want to
Say one thing, I'd like to thank Russ for all help that he did with parks work. He was instrumental as the process went forward. He really helped us a lot. And we want to give him recognition because, you know, we never received once a year. Russ definitely deserved it. Back to us. But other than that, I think the folks are, you know, moving right along, and I think that we've got a good group on our board, and have to wait to see what happens. I've been on the board for only 20 years, and believe me, 20 years ago, things were just a snail's pace, and now it's a jackrabbit. So we want to keep up. It's a lot of good things.
Yeah.
I just say I just joined the park board this year and really exciting and great to work with Bill and everyone in the park board as well. It's been really exciting getting to see what the city's doing and they have some input on that. Really excited about 2023 to see what we can do, really seeing parks. Really excited about trying to push to make this move the outdoor recreation capital of 2020 and doing a lot of really good things. With that, we have to make a huge opportunity for us and all the parks founders. So definitely looking forward to see if we can get additional parks and some new items that might attract a lot of exciting opportunities.
No, I just say thank you for the support. And again, the city staff is amazing. Again, I'm just saying thank you for the support and especially again, city staff really just do a tremendous job for all of us. So thank you very much. Okay.
So I have a question. On the Frontier Heights, I'm pretty interested in that. Besides pickleball stuff, I don't know who wants that. We could name that the Marcus Tadgeon pickleball court or something. You have other things that you want to put in place there, cornhole and those kinds of things. So those types of items that can be built just really quickly. Is there a way to have sponsorships of that from, city citizens? Like could my company come out and say, I want to sponsor the 2 cornhole or, that kind of thing. Do we have that? Do we have that ability? Have we thought about that?
Jill can correct me if I'm wrong. I know that we can take those inquiries and evaluate them individually. Currently, we don't have a specific packet to give you to show all of the opportunities that are out there. And so each item right now is analyzed on a request by request basis. And yes, it is possible for naming rights and sponsorship.
For instance, one of the things that the staff has brought up is maybe they can partner with the Parks and Arts Foundation. And maybe the foundation would pay for some of these things. But
So you think that there would be a better avenue for my company, for instance, I'm not going to, but for my company to come into the Arts and Parks Foundation and give them money to try to accomplish that.
So
instead of trying to go through the city.
Yeah, so when a donation is made to the city versus the foundation, both of them can be tax deductible, and it really has to come down to the utility of public benefit. And so for you as a business owner, as an individual, you would have the same tax write-off. The benefit of funneling things through the foundation is there's a lot of individuals who are hesitant to donate directly to a government because they want to make sure their dollars are used for that specific cause. And so a lot of I can't even say the word, philanthropists, the people that philanthropic donations, there we go, are often done through foundations. Specifically, how we're looking to partner with the foundation is for grant writing. There are a number of different grants that are not available to government agencies, but are available to 501c3. And so we've talked about a partnership. Before we did that, we would go into a specific agreement on how those roles will be outlined, but we haven't yet got to that.
I didn't even think about the tax thing, but I'm not all that savvy on taxes anyway. Just pay them and then to get it over with.
The rehabber cornhole tournament.
Yeah, whatever.
One example.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go look. That's about the only way I'm gonna get any fish is to pay for $500 for a big fish on the wall, but I don't have time to go fishing, so what the heck? So yeah, I'm kind of interested in how that could come about, because I know that we have some community members out there that would probably, throw some dollars at stuff because they might not have time to actually get into the community and do different things. So I'd be willing to bet that we could come up with some funds that way to get these pieces into our parks.
And one example that just happened currently or recently, is the ping pong dispenser, the ping pong ball dispenser. And that company worked with one of our staff members, Jessica, to bring that into the park, and they funded it.
Okay, thank you. Also, I just to let the park board know, I'm really interested in what we're going to do with Cedarwood. Yeah, that's an interesting animal for us. I'm really interested in what you come up with that.
I'm going to second that. And I'm really interested in the fish, and I have a couple of questions. Great idea, by the way. I think that's a great way to raise funds, but also to bring community awareness to the work that you're doing. And I'm curious, is that happening now? Has that started?
It is live on the Lake Stevens Arts and Park Foundation .org website, and so you can pay for fishes, and it is a plaque that it goes onto your fish, and the fish will then be mounted onto the back of the wall. And it's our main fundraiser to be able to put the art on the other side.
How long will this fundraiser last? And can we help? Okay. How can we help spread the word?
I tell all your friends.
Okay. Okay. Let us know.
I'm not on the board. I'll bring that to the board and see if they can get an answer to you.
Sounds.
Maybe the city can put it out.
That's what I was thinking, on the city website.
On a little newsletter we do, maybe?
Yeah.
We've talked about it, and we haven't had a meeting for 2 months, so it was probably, we're gonna talk about it again, because we talked about how we're gonna get it.
Once Facebook gets a hold of it, it'll get going.
Right. That's great. Well,
So
Maybe the Chamber of Commerce can announce it too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One point I want to point out is that the Arts Foundation that is being talked about is the 501c3, so it's not the government body. And so we have discussed how the government can help promote that, and we've had some discussions in the background. The Chamber of Commerce would be a great way to do that. I know I've also given recommendations to the foundation on how they can highlight that on their website, and talked about how to push it out. So I'd be happy to continue to discuss that with the foundation.
I'm curious to hear from any of you or all of you. Is there anything particular this year in 2023 that you're most excited about, or that you're most looking forward to being a part of or working on?
Well, just being an old park board member, I mean, Eagle Ridge was always like the park, because that was the only thing we had. And I personally am looking forward to that place to sort of transportation, that what we, wanted. And now we made a few changes because things changed. So, and I just like to see that get done, because I think it'd be a great educational tool for the kids, and a good place to go hang out with the kids and picnic, and the theater there with the concerts and stuff. But other than that, anytime we can get any land, and the whole secure the land and use it for future park service, because the land's just like more expensive.
I have to agree with the comments on Cedarwood. And also, I just want you to know that Eagle Ridge, Senator John Lovick, when he was still our senator, And I went over there and I got a picture of him sitting in one of those swings. And he says that that picture is like the most liked picture in his website. So just so you know. Eagle Ridge. Thank you for what you're doing there. That's really important.
Yeah, I'm really excited about building a pump track somewhere, maybe putting some mountain bike trails, things like that for the community. That's a really exciting opportunity, especially out there at the skate park. Pump track would be something very similar to bikes, scooters, and other things like that. And I help maybe take someone to load out the skate park. It's extremely busy on sunny days, so that's one of the things I'm really excited about.
I'm excited about the 20th ball field and the dog park that's gonna go in there to see it come to completion.
Sounds good with the Princeton Heights as far as pickleball courts. I mean, again, I think it'd be very popular right there. And I think that that'd be really much appreciated. Is that well,
I'd just like to say, appreciate your service. You guys are really busy and you're a valuable asset to the community and look forward to your next adventures as far as talking about things. But appreciate your involvement, your spirit and your time. So thank you.
I have one more question about Eagle Ridge because you brought that up. I don't remember in the master plan whether that had included the trail that's down the slope. Is that part of the Eagle Ridge Park?
The trails are part of the park. The master plan, the development that we're focusing on for the design is just the upland portions.
Just the
of
upland
Eagle Ridge.
portion, okay.
However, there's been discussion of adding some mountain bike trails to the existing
Okay,
hiking
yeah, that's
trails.
kind of where I was leading, because there's it's not used very much down there. I know somebody 4 years ago went down to try to repair part of that trail that's down there. There was some rotten wood on one of the little bridges down there and things like that. So that'd be interesting to see if we could get at least a little bit of a bike trail down there. Get that reopened up, make it a little easier to get down the slope because that's pretty steep.
That's one thing we're talking about in bike trails. We don't want to combine pedestrians and the bike at the same time, so we're trying to find a happy medium. Because we don't want bicycles driven through there. It's gonna be more of a family theme park. If we can separate that other part of the park into that and just keep it. And use other bikes.
So also well, I'm not gonna go there. I'll come to a Parks Board and tell you one more thing later. I'll come to a Parks Board meeting, we'll talk about it. Something that happened a few years ago, and we need to try to regenerate that. I think it'd be important for that area. Don't want to take any more council's time.
I'm going to take advantage of my rookie status and ask, what exactly is a pump track?
Yeah, so pump track is basically a series of rollers and jumps that you can pump on a bike or a scooter, basically without pedaling.
Okay.
Teaches you a bunch of different skills. You can add features like wall rise, things like that, which is the add some excitement, and it can be progressive. So little kids can do it versus bigger double rollers. You can become more experts jumping those. Features that's really fun, very fun.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to add that we are all grateful, the city is grateful that you have supported the park development, and you have done that again and again. You've given a lot of money and you have a great vision, and we appreciate that. And it definitely when I talk to people in the community about the parks, they're very much appreciated.
Well, we appreciate the relationship that we have with you, and just to echo what Councilman Peter Sagan said, appreciate your dedication and your volunteer work being here and your energy. It's great. It's contagious, and we're lucky to have you on our board. Any further comments or questions from council? Park Board, anything else you'd like to add?
Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you very much. All right. Last item on our agenda is another discussion item. In your packet, you will find a copy of an ordinance recently passed by the city of Marysville, ordinance 3247, regarding the use of controlled substances in public places. Hoping you've all had a chance to peruse through this. This came to my attention in a couple of different ways. There was an article in the Herald about it a few weeks ago. You may have, maybe last week, you may have seen that. The mayor reached out to me last week, and then wearing my other hat, my county job, this is something that we're discussing. Many of you have been here for conversations around the Blake decision, the decision made by the Supreme Court a year and a half ago now, maybe 2 years ago, that made it more difficult for law enforcement to cite or book or arrest individuals using illegal substances. The work at the city level has sort of ramped up a bit in different cities in our county and throughout our state to try to address this in a way that helps to eliminate public drug use, helps to protect public safety, and I think most importantly for me, helps to connect those individuals to available resources. I know that Chief Bezzo has had a chance to both review this and also speak to get some legal counsel around this particular, the wording of this particular ordinance. But I kind of wanted to bring this up for discussion. That the question really is, as a city, are we in a place where we are interested in pursuing something similar for the city of Lake Stevens? I certainly have some thoughts and some questions. I think what I'd like to do first is turn it over to Chief Bezzo just to add in the information that he has in his opinion. If you wouldn't mind, Chief?
Thanks, Council President. Yes, so I talked to our misdemeanor prosecutor, who is Jimmy Zacher, and some of the concerns that he has with the ordinance real quick are because it talks about possession of marijuana. That is a civil infraction for the state, so we can't turn it into a misdemeanor. The other thing is the referral process in the state of Washington. Now, if we have somebody that we arrest for drug possession, we have to give them 2 diversions and we can arrest them on a 3rd diversion. Right now, that is lacking. We've had a company or a vendor who does tracking of those diversions of how many people follow through. And out of all the diversions that we've had 0 compliance. So we have developed a better partnership with the Snohomish County lead, which is law enforcement
Assisted diversion.
There you go. Assisted diversion, which helps people that we arrest for misdemeanors to get them through getting their driver's license, getting them back on their feet, taking them to the doctor's appointments and all those great things. We've built that relationship. They've come in, they're training our officers right now. So not only are we doing that with people that are out on the streets and need assistance, we're also doing that. If we arrest somebody, we can put them through this diversion program. Plus, if they're in the court system, they work closely with Zacher's office and the Snohomish County prosecutor, because the Snohomish County prosecutor, which does our felonies, have already established a relationship with them. So we can use them both before the court process and after the court process. So we're very excited to have them on board and work with this ordinance to help us try to deter the use of drugs in our community when it's out in open public. That has been, she asked me, or Council President asked me earlier, the stats, I just don't have those off the top of my head, but we do have concerns about it. We do see it out here, both in our community and in our regional communities around us. So that it is very important. The other thing, I was going to talk to our city legal advisor. Unfortunately, he's out today. So we're having another meeting tomorrow with him to get his side of this too. So did I miss anything, Council President?
That's great. Thanks, Chief.
Right.
Appreciate it. I'd like to open it up to council just for discussion, questions, thoughts.
So the way I understand it is the legislature is looking at trying to do something with this legislative session that they failed to do last legislative session and make it a gross misdemeanor. Because that's as high as they can go, because it can't be a felony due to the Supreme Court ruling. What would that do if we were to enact this? Would we then have to go in and change it to make it a gross misdemeanor?
So yes, that could sunset it. So it could be potentially overturned by the new legislation. So that is a concern that we do have. We are trying to work with that. I'm working very closely with WASPIC, our Washington Sheriffs and Police Chiefs Association right now with the legislation and trying to get that all fixed. We've got our fingers crossed. We have a lot of support from the different community organizations. Our AWC, WCIA are all helping us through the legislative process to endorse that and get that fixed.
I think that might be something good for us to bring at AWC to our legislatures and so forth. And once they've got that and kind of got the buy-up from the state patrol and the departments and so forth, maybe work off of that and push that agenda through versus something like this. But I think this is great.
So another question I have is, I understand that if the legislature does not do anything with this legislative session, that in July, there is a time lapse on the law, and I'm not sure what that really means. What law, does the law go away, that the Blake decision go away, or does it mean they can't do anything more than what we're doing?
Right now, it reverts back to what it was before, but there is legals because of the Supreme Court decision that still needs to be fixed. That only possessing that needs to also be fixed. So it would revert to back to a class or felony, but of course, there's got to be some changes in legislation.
Okay. All right, well, I agree with Marcus. I think this is a great thing. I think Marysville's getting out in front of it. But I also think that we need to pay attention to what's going on in the legislature this year to find out what they're really going to try to do. So
I'm sure this will be a topic at AWC.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will be. Sure. Well, it is on the AWC agenda, so
Right.
It's there already.
And that'll be something we want to bring to all of our legislatures, just like every other city would be telling theirs as well.
Right.
So I guess the question would be, is if we want to try to do something before we go to AWC and talk to legislators, see what's going on.
For me, I think we should wait for AWC, Association of Washington Cities. So then that way we can see what theirs is. I think they're going to put together something maybe that we can get a buy-off through the legislature. Is that kind of what I heard from you too? And then versus going to our legal counsel and then having to revise it if the legislature comes out with something different. My thought.
That makes sense. That really does.
I guess, did I hear, Chief, that our legal counsel has some issues with this particular ordinance because it includes marijuana?
Not our city legal advisor, our misdemeanor prosecutor. I have not talked to our city legal advisor because he was out today. We have a meeting tomorrow.
So potentially could this ordinance that Marysville passed be flawed?
It could be. There's potential.
So I guess that would be, instead of going down that path.
Right.
I would agree. We probably need to raise this flag at the legislative level.
Take it to Sam Lowe.
Yeah.
I also wonder if we want to flag this for our new legislative aid or advisor to keep us apprised on where this is moving statewide. I think that there is going to be a lot of action, and it would be good to sort of keep abreast of what changes are happening. And if it does look as though it's moving in a direction maybe that doesn't meet the needs for our city, we could revisit this later on in the session. It's a long session this year, and start to draft something that might fill any gaps that we see might be left after the state finishes their fix.
I heard there's another couple of cities looking at this also, but I think it's going to be part of a discussion at the SCC dinner on the 19th. But I don't know. We certainly discuss things like that at the SCC dinner.
Sure.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah. Any other concerns, questions?
I would be curious to have the results of your conversation with our city attorney to see his thoughts on this as well. Maybe in a memo form or something as a follow-up.
I will do that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Move to adjourn.
Second.
We are done with our discussion. I hear a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.